It's MLS Saturday on FSC, live in high definition tonight. It's the Home Depot Center, Carson, California, that will see U.S. international Brian McBride bring the curtain down on his illustrious playing career. 11 for Chicago.
Well, we see a team that's very well balanced here. Lundberg will play behind the high reference point of Brian McBride on his final game. Papa, keep an eye on him on that left side. He's got the freedom to move. Maybe Ristic and Papa will switch throughout the game and interchange. Paz and Lowry hold the midfield. C.J. Brown manning that back four in front of Johnson.
Well, both teams looking to end their season on a positive note while saying their farewells to fan favorites on both sides. Brian McBride, a goal tonight would take his tally in Major League Soccer to 80. 295 games played in Major League Soccer for the overall #1 pick back in 1996. Our man in the middle tonight, Canadian Paul Ward. It's his 25th Major League Soccer match in the middle. The Chivas USA with the kick, attacking from the left to the right. Red tops, blue shorts, while it's visitor Chicago Fire, all white kit. They'll be defending on the right side. Flores looking for the combination for Jonathan Bornstein, and it'll be an early throw-in for the Chicago Fire. Alongside my partner, former U.S. international Christopher Sullivan, I'm Brian Dunseth. Christopher, emotional night for Jonathan Bornstein. How do you expect him to fare in his last appearance for Chivas USA?
Well, I think Bornstein will be fine. I think he'll be the less emotional player of the three. C.J. Brown probably obviously the most emotional. He's played for only this team for Chicago. For McBride, he's been there, done that on the international level, domestic level, and abroad. So, but it's another game. You got to get into the game, get into the zone, try to help your team play great football tonight.
The 2009 goalkeeper of the year, former Chicago Fire goalkeeper as well, Zach Thornton, chance to face his former club. Sueño, pressure on the inside. Good pressure from Ristic. And C.J. Brown looks to keep possession for Chicago. McBride, back to Ristic. McBride. Pressure from Jazzy. Finds Peter Lowry. Blind switch to the left-hand side. Marco Papa looking to run it down, can't keep it in play.
It wasn't a bad idea from Lowry. He looks out to the left. He's able to play that in the pocket, in the channel. Good vision and surprise element. But the first touches with Brian McBride, excellent. You know, the way he's turning, cutting out, orientating to the other players. It's a good start.
Padilla. First time clearance from Stephen Kenny. Challenge in the midfield by the rookies. Ben Zemansky finds Nagamura. Outlet to the left-hand side. Chivas USA content to keep possession across the back. Nagamura, tonight, his 145th appearance in Major League Soccer, breaking the all-time record for Brazilians in Major League Soccer. The initial record held by Welton. Zemansky wins the header. C.J. Brown, pressure from Padilla. All the way back to the goalkeeper, Sean Johnson. Back in the starting 11 after missing the last 3 matches because of an eye injury suffered in training. Bornstein gets his head up, finds Justin Braun. Pressure from Lowry. Trujillo, near side, finds Espinosa. Closed down quickly by Umanzor. Braun settles with his chest. Espinosa, return pass. Umanzor quickly pressuring, forcing him back. Marco Papa, Guatemalan international with possession, looking for Ristic. Triple team, looking to dribble his way out. And good defending by Jonathan Bornstein.
Well, you had a great tackle a moment ago from Lowry just to bust that up, but it's a good start from Chivas USA.
Let's take a look at Christopher's approaches first for Chivas USA.
Well, one of the things that we see, it's a blended lineup where you have experience, but you also have some youth, some players that can open up a game and put high pressure. For Chivas, they got to get back to their signature football, simplicity, and that tactical awareness, and facilitate the movement of the ball with a good rhythm. That's when they play their best football.
Chivas USA, the last time we were here at the Home Depot Center, a 3-0 win over Toronto FC. Last weekend, a 2-1 loss at Seattle, followed by a midweek 3-0 loss at San Jose. Long ball up over the top, looking for Flores, initially won by Stephen Kenny. Logan Paz battles his way through the midfield, finds Lowry. Good step by Jazzy. Combination with Braun, back to Flores, from distance, and easily taken by Johnson.
Well, you see the way the coordination of Chivas USA is extremely good. The back four coming aggressive to step and not give that little space and that extra half a second to Freddie Lundberg, making it difficult with his back to goal.
We've seen Christopher's approaches for the home side. Let's take a look at the visitors, Chicago Fire.
Well, I think for Chicago, when you look at the composition of this team, it's about the tempo. Can they set a fast tempo on the counter? When you look at the wide positions, they're extremely good through Papa. They got Lundberg who can orchestrate, and players that can get forward, and McBride can finish. So tempo is important. The attacking versatility, how you want to attack, whether it's Papa, whether it's Ljungberg, quick combination or quick cross for a surprise is part. And finally, being decisive when the opportunity presents itself.
You just talked about Freddie Lundberg, now under pressure from Nagamura. Skips away from the initial challenge and earns the first foul of the night for Chicago. Good look at our head coach, Carlos de los Cobos, 51-year-old, former Mexican international. Had a few choices tonight. Dealing with multiple injuries as Jorge Flores drags down Stephen Kinney. We'll see an early yellow card handed out by Paul Ward.
That was a great combination. You look at the angle, you got to give credit to Ristic. And this player has gotten better and better before our eyes. In the last game that we covered, throughout the game, he was probably the best performer on Chicago. And look at the way he opens his body. He plays him through right here. Flores on the wrong side here, picks up a yellow.
Right back, Stephen Kinney, the 22-year-old, making an overlapping run, forcing that man, Jorge Flores, to commit the foul. Set piece for the Chicago Fire. Freddie Lundberg set to take it on the far side. It'll be an in-swinger. Chivas USA holding a tight line at the top of the 18-yard box. Lundberg looking for the top of the 6, initially cleared by Jazic. Still inside the 18-yard box. Won by Conde. Cleared again by Jazic and into the chest of Justin Braun. Logan Paz looking for the feet of Lundberg. Cut out by Justin Braun. Good challenge by Bratislav Ristic.
You look for the important contribution. Ristic is going to be important because you got the speed of the young Flores, Bornstein that can overlap, and Braun has, from time to time, likes a starting position from the wide point or wide midfield as well. He's played that many times.
Trujillo finds the chest of Padilla. Timely step by Conde. Braun. A darting little run of Nagamura, cut out once again by the Colombian Conde. Bornstein. CJ Brown. Flipped that ball up over the top, looking for McBride. Jazic keeps possession through Zemansky, all the way back to Borja. High pressure being applied by Chicago. Ristic. Nice little piece of skill from Zemansky. Finds Braun. Traps with his left. Outlets to Bornstein. Looking for Flores in behind. And a timely read by CJ Brown.
Well, you see the build out is good. I like the way that Chivas have started going through the 3 lines. The central defense could have looked right to break the pressure when Lundberg was coming on. But I think Chicago hasn't been able to solve yet how they want to pressure Chivas in the midfield and out of back.
Chivas USA starting off with positive possession. Padilla into space. Umanzor closing down. Padilla, first time service into the box. Braun can't get a hold of it. Finally cleared out of pressure by Lowry. Jazic. Lundberg closing him down, finds Bornstein, tucked inside from his left back position. Can't find anyone forward, elects to keep possession across the back for Chivas. Rodolfo Espinosa. Back to Trujillo. No Michael Umania. He is not available, as well as Dario Delgado, the Costa Rican internationals, for the second time this season, not getting the start. Chivas USA now attacking once again through Trujillo. Espinosa on the right flank, sets himself up, first time service, looking for the far post. Braun, snap down header, and good communication from Sean Johnson.
Well, we see Zemansky trailing and just putting himself in the right position behind Braun. Gringo Padilla has also been dangerous, but the crossing 2 from the right side have been good on both occasions.
Lundberg has a runner McBride. Through ball for Ristic. A touch by Bornstein slows it up. Papa. Marco Papa. Offside.
This is really the first time that they broke that midfield block. And it comes through the feet of Logan Paz. He had the presence of mind to play, zipping into the feet of Lundberg, who gets a good look. And you have that snapshot. He tries to play it through. And Ristic has the presence of mind to do one better for that little surprise. That's very close right there. Unfortunate for Papa.
Christopher, we have had the pleasure of doing a few games this year with the Chicago Fire. And one player that stood out since the summer signing, Bratislav Ristic.
Yes.
We've seen him in multiple positions as a right back, as a left back tonight on the right-hand side of the midfield. Been very good in the first 10 minutes of his match.
I agree. I think he's just a complete player. Overall, he's one of those guys you want on the field for 90 minutes, both sides of the ball. The way he fights back, recovers, he's smart, he's intelligent in possession, and very confident in his ability. Again, this is a theme and a glimpse of what we're going to see tonight when they're trying to break that back four. Both of these teams like to push that high line, and they're susceptible to the break from deep positions coming through.
McBride beats out Jazic. Lundberg putting the pressure, forcing Bornstein to knock it out. It'll be a throw-in on the far side for the Chicago Fire. Ristic looks to get his service off, deflected. It'll be the first corner kick of the night for Chicago. Freddie Lundberg slowly makes his way to the right-hand side. Wilman Conde pushing up from the center back position. And this is where those matchups inside the 18-yard box, Christopher, get very, very interesting.
Well, and I think the one you want to look for is McBride. Watch him. He's so good from this position, reading.
Lundberg, top of the six. McBride does get ahead to it. Unfortunately, all 5 players in the box for Chicago, it collapsed on the near post. Good read from Wilman Conde. Can't keep that ball in play. It'll be a throw-in for Chivas USA.
And you see Carlos de los Cobos, the first time he's up, he's applauding because since that pass through Logan Paz, he's trying to pull together a balance in the midfield. They broke a little bit of pressure and they start settling in the last 2 or 3 minutes. That's important for Chicago because Chivas have come out fantastic for the first 10 minutes.
The 2 teams that were very successful in the playoffs in 2009. Difficult year in 2010, none the least. And when you're talking about Chicago, Christopher, Bakary Soumare, Chris Rolfe, John Bush, Cuauhtemoc Blanco, Tim Ward, you throw in the injury to Thorington, Justin Mack going to Philadelphia. Those are a lot of very solid players that can make a difference that you no longer have at your disposal.
That's right, and if you remember the story, there's Carlos de los Cobos, his job. Let's watch this break here.
Ristic, deflected service. Touched by Trujillo. Knocked back down by Lowry. Papa.
And they're trying to find, Chivas needs to adjust very quickly on that left side because Ristic is pushing up there, finding space in that channel. But going back to De Los Cobos, losing Cuauhtemoc was the biggest thing. And Bakary Soumare, he was the first one to go. And everyone, you remember we were covering those games, everybody said that was the year for Chicago. With that lineup, before they were going to lose that cadre of players, they had to win it that year.
Padilla gets his service in the box. Outside of the right foot, clearance by C.J. Brown. First time chance by Espinosa. That'll be a goal kick for Chicago.
Not a bad idea. You're not going to beat the keeper there. Johnson does well to hold, not come off his line. But Chicago was, on their day, they were as good as any team in Major League Soccer. Of course, Real Salt Lake, came down to that outstanding game. And Cuauhtemoc was a big part of that team. You look at all the other players like Rolfe. So it's a rebuilding process. And they have some of the best fans that expect that tradition of winning.
Borja, little bump on Lundberg. Braun settles, gets away from Brown. Espinosa, outside of the right foot, settles. Looks for the run of Braun. Isolated on the near side. C.J. Brown, Justin Braun. Corner of the 18-yard box. Braun looking to get to the touchline. He does. Service in the box. Touched by Johnson. And deflected. And it'll be a goal kick for Chicago.
Oh, there's a great save here. And if you track the run and the movement of Braun, he comes back all the way to the half line. Now he loses C.J. Brown getting out to the wide point. Then he reverses and comes isolated one-on-one just to separate. Nice little cross right here. It should have been a corner.
After John Bush left, ended up in San Jose Earthquakes, it was Andrew Dykstra, the 24-year-old, getting the start. 17 matches in the nets for Chicago before the 21-year-old Sean Johnson took over. Johnson in 13 appearances this season, 1.24 goals against, 5 shutouts. Good look at Martin Vasquez, Chivas USA head coach.
And Martin Vasquez having the pedigree and experience of being with Jurgen Klinsmann in Germany, big clubs like Bayern Munich. So and you can see tonight that this has been choreographed, the movement, you know, the fluidity through the midfield. So he's worked in the training ground to get whatever team he has on the field in sync.
Padilla onside, gets his head up, looking for the far post, looking for his 7th of the year, and well covered by Johnson.
Oh, you look at the space that Gringo Padilla, that little look over his shoulder. He checks before he receives the ball, collects it, and just wants to get it off the foot. Doesn't get the power behind it that he's looking for.
A lot of hopes that Jesus Padilla could be that breakout player for Chivas USA. Still on loan from Chivas de Guadalajara, originally from San Jose. 6 goals on the season. He's come in when he's had the opportunity. 25 appearances, just 13 starts. But he's been dangerous nonetheless. Heart and soul of the team, by far, Paulo Nagamura.
You see the entry pass that Bornstein was looking for. You talk about Nagamura, everything that he does from that deep position, but if they're going to transform Chivas USA, they need a player like David Ferreira or Morales, who plays for Real Salt Lake. Then you can pull that collective play back in. What we saw the past few years when Chivas was playing outstanding under Bob Bradley and Brecken.
Talked about the issues that Carlos de los Cobos faced for Martin Vasquez. A turnover as well. Jesse Marsh, Ante Razov, Shavar Thomas, Terry Talley, Claudio Suarez, Jimmy Curtin, Paulo Nagamura away for half the year. When he comes back, Sasha Victorine goes to Anderlecht. Some very similar situations for both sides. The 2 teams really just couldn't get on the right street. Padilla gets his head up, deflected off CJ Brown. First touch settled by Padilla, back to Espinosa. Service in the box, looking for Brown, touched out by Conde. Szymanski goes down underneath the challenge of Ristic. Bornstein.
That Szymanski is smart. Even when he knows that he's 40-60, he makes that little extra effort to get the touch on to Johnny Bornstein. Watch this right here. Little extra contribution right there, and he can see the way he touches it with effect to set up Jonathan Bornstein.
Szymanski, 47th pick in 2010 out of Akron. But he's done well with his chances. Belair Gavin still out with a hamstring injury. Michael Lahoud on the bench. That means Szymanski's paired up with Nagamura. Kenny.
So the one thing about this lineup, and you see what we're watching right now, Papa plays high on the left side. McBride's up top, but for me it's too isolated. Freddie Lundberg could play in that second point, you know, like 3-quarter specialist on the field, but it doesn't work. It's better with 2 strikers. When you're going to use a clear classic number 9 like McBride, you need to go with the same way Colorado does, Cummings and Casey.
Lundberg looks for the service deflected on the way in. It'll be the 2nd corner kick of the night for Chicago.
And if you play that way and your midfield's good enough to play that way, Brian McBride will give you a goal a game in this league, in my opinion.
Difficult choices for De Los Cobos. Nery Castillo on the bench and available tonight. Freddie Lundberg, Marco Papa, 3 very similar players for the Fire. Lundberg, 18th minute here at the Home Depot Center. Running from the top of the 6, McBride looking for that near post. Just pushes it wide left of Zach Sorton's frame.
Well, you just give him a little bit of daylight and he gets himself in the right position. It is really great. This is like ballet. We look at his body, he's pulling. He knows how to step away right there. There's that little snap and velocity. He's done it just a little bit off, 2-3 yards, not bad.
A 17-year professional career coming to a close. 8 years with the Columbus Crew, 161 games, 62 goals. He's part of that MLS all-time best 11. Flores skips away from Logan Paz. Right in the pressure of Stephen Kenny. It'll be a throw-in in the final third for Chicago. Manzor, little bump on Espinosa. Free kick for Chivas USA. There's Manzor, El Salvador international. Tonight getting just his 5th start of the season. controlling that left-hand side. Christoph Kroll not available because of injury. Braun opens up to his right. Pressure once again from Ristic. Lundberg looks to get away from Ante Jazic. Little late off ball for Ristic. Up over the top looking for McBride. Trujillo, snap down header, keeps possession through Borja. One player that's really taking advantage of limited opportunities, Carlos Borja. Tonight in the back, getting his 4th start.
Yeah, he's looked good. And one of the things that Martin Vasquez has done with Chivas USA that I admire is they're always pushing one of the 4 defenders into the attack and they slide over. So if it's Trujillo on the right, he'll slide into the central defense and they cover as Jonathan Bornstein goes forward, and vice versa.
Paz finds the left foot of Lundberg. Ristic into space. It's a foot race with Bornstein. First time ball in the box, well read by Borja.
He's putting good balls in. It is the second time that Freddie Lundberg, they've timed this extremely well between the two of them. Every time that he breaks laterally, Ristic is taking off and chopping into that open space where Bornstein leaves open because he's getting into the attack. So again, that's the side that Martin Vasquez has to be careful that they're covering. It looks like Chicago has a good path to go forward.
Chicago very good on set pieces. Wilman Conley, Brian McBride, Stephen Kenny. Big boys in the box looking for that service. Good look at the supporters here at Home Depot Center. Lundberg. Justin Braun sitting on that near 6. Tapped in with possession from Chicago. Manzor. Padilla closing down. Conde.
You talk about the details. Just a moment ago, that freezing from C.J. Brown. He's on the ball. He looks out to Freddie Lundberg, but just slots in between the two. Great possession. A nice entry pass. But back in the day when he played for Bob Bradley, national team coach now, but had won the double with Chicago in '98. It was C.J. Brown on set pieces that would go forward. Today he stays back.
Well, tomorrow, Barclays Premier League action continues. Stoke City hosting Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, and Wayne Rooney's new 5-year, $180,000 a week contract. The kickoff's going to be at 8:30 Eastern, and that's live in high definition. 22nd minute here at the Home Depot Center. All level is Chivas USA hosting the Chicago Fire. Lundberg. Borja closing him down on the right-hand side. Skips away initially. Heavy touch by Umanzor. Breakout opportunity for Espinosa down the near side. Logan Paz closing down the pressure. Big switch and Ristic once again. Well-timed tackle.
He knows how to tackle. He comes from the school in Europe where they know how to tackle at the right time. Just a moment ago, one of the great things about the Chivas USA fans here, even though their own player got faked out, Lundberg on the double step over there, they give him the ole.
Marco Papa. First time ball in the box, looking for McBride. Slight little bump from Jazic, might have been just enough.
That's an excellent ball from Papa right there. And the timing again from McBride. He puts himself at the near post. Perfect positioning. Lowry tried to get in behind. Again, missing that support, following and trailing the play for the knockout.
One of the hottest players at the start of the season in Major League Soccer, absolutely, Marco Papa. 7 goals, 4 assists, 3 of those goals game winners. He was one of those players during international duty, picked up a knock, has yet to see full fitness since.
Yeah, he was a fantastic acquisition for Frankie Klopas. I know that he played in Guatemala and Municipal, and they picked up this player, and it just fit perfectly for what they were looking for. A player that's not afraid when he gets into the attacking third, that can penetrate one-on-one, he can pull attention and then release. He still has the ability and vision to play good football in the attacking third. I think something you highlighted before, as we see McBride right here on a challenge, aerial challenge with Jazic, is that both teams very similar in the work in progress, trying to rebuild. But when you look at Chivas USA, not only Sasha Kleshin, who went to Anderlecht, but you got to think of Ante Razov. What a prolific scorer he was. And Galindo, the way that those two complemented, one of the best striking duos at that time when they played together in their form.
We saw Jerson Mayan, Chukwudi Chichindu, Michael Galindo all sent on loan down to the USL this season. It was a bit of a surprising move for a team that was struggling to get forward.
It was. It really was.
Rodolfo Espinosa as well as Giancarlo Maldonado, the Venezuelan international, coming over from Atlante, looking to be that influence in the squad.
But Galindo, Razov, that was it. I mean, those two, when they had their time and they were in their form, they were breathtaking.
When healthy, one of the strongest duos in Major League Soccer. Pressure from McBride. Turnover for Chivas USA in the midfield. Chicago looking to capitalize. Double teamed on the near side of Umanzor. Back to Peter Lowry. Santa Clara product all the way back to Coleman Conde. Conde gets his head up. Looking for the chest of McBride. Just overhit. Settled by Bornstein. Padilla, time and space. He can't capitalize on it. Forced to go backwards. Nagamura.
I'll tell you who's doing a lot of work for Chicago is Kinney on that right side, because Ristic is playing so high and so advanced to be well positioned for an outlet pass from both Lundberg and McBride. And there is a huge gap. So Kinney's got to be the one that strikes the right balance in between when to support, when to come out, and not give Flores that much room for the break.
Stephen Kenny, the 22-year-old, 45th overall pick out of Elon College. His 13th appearance tonight. He's got a goal and an assist coming out that right-hand side. He should have had two more. His debut hit the post twice against Real Salt Lake at home on set pieces. Papa looking to get in behind. Borja barrels him over. Referee says play on. Jazic looks to get the ball to his left foot. Cuts back. Right foot clearance and settled by Umanzor. Flores gets away from Ristic. Closed down by Paz.
Oh, he does well.
Bornstein all the way up on the left-hand side to Espinosa. Service looking for the back six. And he had both Justin Braun and Padilla in the box.
They had
just
those
overhit
two,
it.
and it looked like that was earmarked for Flores. You see the breakout in the middle of the field from Flores. He just floats off Ristic. And the pass wasn't what he was looking for with the weight, but he does well in that second effort to recover. And the field is just immaculate. The passes that are going out wide are just, there's a good speed. The grass has a little bit of wetness. I like the way this game has been played the first 25, 26 minutes.
Ryan McBride once again going up big, goes down underneath the bump from Zamansky. Conde. Trujillo, pressure from Papa. Can he keep it in play? Bodied off by Trujillo. Referee says play on. Papa. 50-50 challenge with Borja. And the clearance from Borja deflected off Papa. It'll be a throw-in in the corner for Chivas USA.
Just as I said that the temperature rises a little between the three right here, Papa does well. Just to invent on the sideline and keep that ball in. Borja comes through.
Mariano Trujillo throw in right next to the corner flag. Deep in Chivas USA's defensive territory. Trujillo looking for the head of Padilla. Flicked on, Braun. Double team. Paz wins possession. Heavy pass into Lundberg all the way back to Thornton. Big clearance from the 37-year-old. CJ Brown puts it back in play. McBride takes another bump from Borja, settled by Trujillo. Gets his head up. No real options for Trujillo, forced to switch it to the far side.
Now it is better not to force something vertical or long. And this is where Nagamura really puts his touch in the midfield and brings a pause into the game. Calms things down, establishes a rhythm.
One of those players where you find yourself struggling for possession. Paulo Nagamura, the one player that's always going to show for you, especially across the back line. The aforementioned Nagamura. Now Borja, center back all the way to the near side. Has Trujillo, elects to go up over the top. Good step by CJ Brown, settled by Zamansky. Early switch, and he just underhit it.
And you see what he wants to do. He puts the hand up and he'll say, my bad. I like Szymanski, you know, his thought process, his speed of thought process for a young player is extremely good. And that's why Martin Vasquez has started. You got Blair Gavin, big talent for a young player, and also Szymanski. So they're evolving in this position. It's a very difficult season, but there is quality there.
Well, not too often do you hear players referenced in the same breath of a Jesse Marsh. Szymanski just a rookie. Martin Vasquez saying that he has the same leadership qualities. Papa deflected on the way in. Gordon couldn't hold on to it, and it'll be the 6th corner kick of the first half for Chicago.
That was not bad conclusion here from Papa. He just needs a little step away to separate. And we talked about the wet grass, and you get that little slick. He hits it down, and there's a little bit of a skip right there. Thornton already has the knees down, but he doesn't follow it through with the eyes.
Up until yesterday afternoon, it had been raining all week long here in Southern California. 64 degrees and cloudy still at the Home Depot Center. Freddie Lundberg, near side, in swinger. Thornton off his line and into his hands.
We see Martin Vasquez very animated talking to Mariano Trujillo on the right side. I think that's the one area, if you're De Los Cobos, that you want to squeeze and put a little pressure both on Borja and Trujillo, the way that they're exiting out of the back and not connecting their passes into the checking runs. Closer to get the ball into the feet of Papa.
Exactly like you said right there, Marco Papa forcing Mariano Trujillo to take that extra touch, settle, and turn backwards. Papa looking to take away the ball to the near side. Nagamura finds it.
Nagamura does great. He's so low to the ground, his center of gravity. He's got those quick feet, but a very good release under his body.
On the opposite side tonight, Logan Paz paired up with Peter Lowry. Very active duo in the central midfield. John Thornton not available to make the trip. Yep. Collins John, Vexelo Segueras, Dason Robinson, Mike Banner, all injured for Chicago.
Thornton gives you a little something extra than those two. They're two functional central midfielders, good in their own right. And I think Thornton has that extra little sense to get forward and can give you the occasional goal and break out support and attack.
John Thornton, 5 appearances, 5 starts, with 1 goal to his name. It's been a difficult season. Been a difficult season for multiple players as injuries have taken its toll on the Fire this year. Trujillo, near side. Concerted pressure from Lundberg, up over the top looking for Braun. Skips in behind, Conde. Padilla taking away the back pass to the keeper. Conde skips away from Braun. Well done by the 27-year-old Colombian. Finds the left foot of Lundberg. Shepherds the first bump and opens up to his right.
There's that ball. Yeah. Well cut out.
It's the right idea for Freddie Lundberg, cut out by Bornstein. His last appearance here at the Home Depot Center in the red and white of Chivas USA. Nagamura. Cut out by Papa. Early ball, release pressure for Chicago. Slow to push up. Trujillo now, looking for Padilla. Settles in the box. Time to turn, back to Espinosa. Combination with Padilla. Gets his head up, looking for the far post. Flores keeps the ball in play. Has Bornstein to his right. Bornstein now makes the run. Flores in the box. Header from Conde. Szymanski from distance. Johnson. Padilla. He would have been offside even if he would have hit the back of the net.
Well, there's great action right here, and it starts on the right. That little short exchange to be dropped back into the feet of Gringo Padilla, and a little bit of a disconnect. You know, he sees the opportunity, plays it over the top, and again, Flores sets this up. Szymanski's got the head down, strikes it well. At this time, it was already offsides, and Gringo Padilla not putting it on target.
Once again, we've seen the Chicago Fire backing off Chivas USA players at the top of the 18-yard box. Chivas USA yet to be able to capitalize on it. 34th minute here at the Home Depot Center.
What we're seeing as well, Nagamura made that run from central midfield. Lowry had to follow him or paused into the corner. He was able to cut away and get it into Padilla right behind him. So that movement into the wide positions is pulling the central midfield in areas they can't defend.
It's been a different look for Paulo Nagamura since rejoining Chivas USA. No Jesse Marsh to his right, no Sasha Victorine playing a little bit in front of him. He's been asked by Martin Vasquez to play a little bit of a different role, push a little bit higher, be more of a playmaker.
Right, and he can do that. He's good on both sides of the ball. He's multifaceted. That Marsh-Nagamura relationship works so well because Marsh had the vision on both sides of the ball as organizing. He was really vocal and a good organizer, pulling players back and getting them in position. But I like Zemanski here.
Great battle on that left-hand side. Jonathan Bornstein, Bratislav Ristic.
They're just not getting Jonathan Bornstein in attack as much as they'd like to. And you got to give credit to Ristic because he's pushing on the other way high in an advanced position to keep him home.
Nagamura settles, big switch. Looking for Espinosa, can he keep it in play?
You can see that's a pity, just not, the idea was there was a fantastic ball from Nagamura. He had to play it with that weight, and that pace and speed to get it in that channel.
Good look at the Union Ultras. Undying support here at the Home Depot Center for Chivas USA. The 36th minute. Chivas USA entire bench up, warming up on the near sideline. Martin Vasquez has Kevin Guppy, Brian De La Fuente, the under-20 international, Michael Lahoud, Osael Romero, Marcelo Zaragoza, Sal Zizzo, and Giancarlo Maldonado available off the bench.
That's pretty true to form. That's the way they do it. You know, in the Mexican league, they always warm up a little bit 10 minutes before the first half. I imagine we're going to see some other young players. Michael Lahoud is one who's been fantastic, good, talented player.
Pass. Finds the feet of Freddie Lundberg. Ristic pulls back his run, makes himself available. Lundberg creating space, dancing off the ball.
You see, I like Freddie there a little bit deeper. When he gets closer to the two midfielders and he can create more because he still has that little burst of speed to open up and he has the thoughtfulness to pass and play players through.
With Freddie Lundberg playing that point, is it possible for Chicago Fire to play with two forwards and only one holding midfielder?
That's how I would do it, personally. You know, if you really want to capture the true attributes of that player, you have to play that way. And also capture the ability of Ryan McBride and maybe a slashing forward. You can play Patrick Nyarko in that position. Changes the dynamic completely in how you attack.
The one player they thought would have a bigger role would be Nery Castillo.
Yeah.
Two designated players signed over the summer after Chicago recognized that they needed some help offensively. You got to give so much credit to the Chicago Fire organization for taking that step. The question will be, heading into the end of the season, was it a knee-jerk reaction? Maybe too much, too simple?
Well, I think that, you know, as we see this pressure, Chicago stepped up pretty well here. This will be an interesting outlet between C.J. Brown and Braun. Braun does well. But, you know, Frank Klopas has a Rolodex of contacts all over the world. So he's going to be, whether it's a Steven Apia, who's now in Italy, the Serie A captain of Ghana, you know, a player that he was interested in, as many other teams. They got to look for that player like Cuauhtemoc that can make a difference. Leadership, ability to change games, ability to settle a game. And I think you'll see that. So they're not totally married to, you know, a situation with Nery Castillo. If he doesn't go well, you know, then they change.
Cuauhtemoc Blanco, lightning in a bottle for Chicago Fire over the course of 2 seasons. Papa, a player who shined for the Fire, finds McBride, gets his head up. Keeps possession to the right-hand side. Stephen Kenny. Papa, pressure from behind, Borja. Papa loses a shin guard all the way back.
Good pressure.
And Thornton, last second, as Brian McBride looked to get on the end of that back pass.
Well, you see Ristic is talking to the referee in the middle. He's saying, look, Papa's had his shoe taken off completely as he's receiving with one. The other foot's taken off. It looks like Chicago is recognizing that there's a lull. Chivas USA pressing, trying to squeeze.
Lundberg to the touchline, looking for McBride.
Goal.
Little flick, incredible goal. Brian McBride, 40th minute. Chicago Fire up 1-0. McBride getting his 80th goal in Major League Soccer.
He's in pain too as well. Even Paul Ward is signaling the medical staff to come out. A fantastic individual movement again, we just talked about. He's in the Achilles tendon right here. Watch the turn from Freddie Lundberg. Just pulls off a little half pirouette, pushes away, and McBride again. We talked about his impeccable timing. He's one-on-one. He knows what he wants to do before at the near post. Overcommits the defender right there. Just a beautiful touch. He's got the keeper beaten as well. What a wonderful goal. Fantastic.
Well, Freddie Lundberg gets his 6 assists and 14 appearances for Chicago. Brian McBride, his 6th goal of the season. And it's been an illustrious career for the former U.S. international. 3 World Cups, 2008 Olympics. And McBride, the one player you know will put his body, his face in the way. When you think of some of the classic games in U.S. soccer history, you think of the goal against Portugal in the World Cup, the elbow he took from Daniela De Rossi in the 2006 World Cup.
Yeah, in Germany.
And the elbow against Mexico.
Without a doubt.
Absolute sacrifice by that player.
And you know, I think a lot of fans of Brian McBride know that this is one of his trademark and signature weapons to score as well, where he commits at the near post, but he still has that versatility to pull that with a heel. Fantastic goal. Hey, talk about Freddie Lundberg, who orchestrated that goal with his movement and improvisation to be able to pull. He even took a little push back because he felt that behind over his shoulder, the pressure was coming there. It was just outstanding.
It absolutely started with Freddie Lundberg skipping away from 2 players, using his speed to get to the byline, getting his head up with a great finish from Brian McBride. Not a good stat for Chivas USA. When allowing the first goal, they have 0 wins, 16 losses, and 3 draws.
I think that's been the story for Chivas USA. You watch as the frustration settling in, players coming behind on the wrong side of the ball, arriving late. But just there's a mental lapse there that you can almost feel. We were just talking about a lull, and that Chicago was pushing up as a team and recognizing this is the moment we can strike, get behind our important players, and the 2 biggest players make the difference in punishing.
We talked in the pregame show, no Michael Amaya, no Dario Delgado is a makeshift patchwork back line for Chivas USA. Carlos Borja, Ante Jazic, Conde. Flicked on by McBride, still hobbling. Top of the 18-yard box. Ristic keeps the ball in play. Jazic, first time clearance, finds Braun. Great step by C.J. Brown again, and Chicago recovers possession. Jesus Padilla puts the ball into space for Rodolfo Espinosa. Isolated against Darison Manzor. Cuts inside to his left. Service in the box. Justin Braun. Ball skips down. Heavy challenge. As Wilman Conde, C.J. Brown collapse over the number 17, Justin Braun.
Oh, you see the look he gets right here. This is a dangerous ball that's played in swinging in between 2. Conde is the one that strikes him. C.J. Brown's about 2 yards off, and you get that Chicago sandwich in between Braun. He walks that off. Now the important thing here for Chivas, do they continue with that same continuity? Martin Vasquez hadn't played well up until the point that they had the goal, made a defensive mistake, a little mental lapse, but can they continue with that fluidity through the midfield and get opportunities into the wide points into the final area?
It's a team playing for pride in their final match at the Home Depot Center in 2010.
This one.
And Carlos Borja once again going up the back and finally earns a yellow card. 44th minute for Chivas USA.
I see a little frustration here in Lundberg because he comes over and he cracks the back of his neck and his back. Watch this. You can see he's already hit him before the ball arrives. Good call. And Lundberg, the last 5-10 minutes, even before the goal, he's picked up. You can see that he's built his appetite. He's kicking into another gear. He's getting into good positions in the final third. He's starting to feel, fancy this game, saying, I can turn this game.
Probably a bit unfortunate for Carlos Borja. Able to probably get away with that with a player like Brian McBride. Freddie Ljungberg, not of the same stature of the former U.S. international. Zach Zordi setting up his wall. 25 yards out. Papa underneath the wall and into the hands of Thornton. Looking for Padilla. Ball bounces top the 18-yard line. Johnson! No risk. Elects the punch. Umanzor. Ball skips away from him. Papa. Hesitation. Ball up over the top. McBride settles. Offside position.
And you see Carlos de los Cobos saying, how's that one offsides? And we take a look at McBride and scratching his head as well. Laid off well. And you see that in the vicinity of those ones, Ljungberg and McBride are getting closer. Ristic on that right side, pushing. So for Chicago, they're starting to get a little better balance, collective balance, cohesion in the midfield.
2 minutes of injury time indicated by the fourth official, David Gantar. Zemansky. Seen a lot of possession from the back four of Chivas USA tonight. Johnson looking to get into the halftime break. Waste a few seconds in the meantime. Outlets to the left-hand side for Conde. Loomer gets away from three. Finds Lowry. Searching ball, looking for McBride.
This one Jonathan Morrison did outstanding on top, and he actually beats McBride to that. Rises with perfect timing. And you can see it looked like McBride was going to flick that behind into Ristic, who would have been alone. But again, it seems like Ljungberg's operating much better now at that point. He's kind of found it. He solved it. The midfielders are getting the ball at the right time, right space, allowing him to turn with a good view of the field.
We saw Freddie Ljungberg make his debut here at the Home Depot Center. It was a 3-2 win over the LA Galaxy. Chicago giving the home side their first loss at the Home Depot Center on the season. But it was right around September when things started going wrong for Chicago. And now they find themselves on the outside looking in for just the second time.
Look out.
Wellman Conde up over the ball. Third player to go into the book.
I see Conde right here. Normally, yeah. Without a doubt. Sometimes it looks like the player is going to protect himself as they're coming into a collision. This one, he clearly comes over.
It's Conde's 10th yellow card of the season. As the best 11 and all-star. Tonight gets his 22nd start. Recently been in and out of the starting 11 underneath Carlos de los Cobos. As it's Espinosa now. Conde. Initially clears, and it's the end of the first 45, indicated by Paul Ward.
Well, I think it was played well from Chivas USA. They have fluidity in their play, and Chicago solved it after a good 20-25 minutes. The big players came through. McBride with an outstanding goal. Give credit to Freddie Ljungberg, the way that he orchestrated. Fantastic. Hopefully it will be a good second half.
Well, Brian McBride, that's his 80th goal in his Major League Soccer career. Chicago Fire up 1-0 here at the Home Depot Center over Chivas USA.
Oh, it's going to, okay. Thank you. This is the Dick's Sporting Goods halftime report. Can I see the graphics?
A confirmation on the substitution. The first one of the night made by Martin Vasquez. Jorge Flores out. Sal Zizzo, the 23-year-old, will replace him on the right-hand side. Lowry, early ball. Bloomberg from distance. He'll push that one wide right. Well, Christopher, we saw a Chicago Fire team over the course of the first 45 minutes. A lot of pressure across the back line on Chivas USA. What are you expecting from the visitors in the second 45?
Well, I think you saw right there with Thornton. You know, he said no options right here. Let's play over the top. So Chicago and Carlos de los Cobos at the break is trying to capture what they did well. And that high pressure, when the opportunity presented itself, worked in their favor.
Zizzo overlapping around. Bornstein in the box. Cleared out by Conde.
For Martin Vasquez, he has to go back to what they did well in the first 25 minutes. There was good fluidity. They facilitated the movement of the ball. And you see that he's very emotional, mainly with that back four. You know, their coordination, something you touched on. They don't have the two players that went out against San Jose. So there's a little bit of imbalance striking in between the midfield and the back four when they're in possession.
Two teams playing for pride as Brian McBride, C.J. Brown put an end to their playing career. On the other side, Jonathan Bornstein, his last match for Chivas USA in Major League Soccer before heading to the Mexican Primera Division with Tigres. Great ball from Peter Lowry. Papa keeps it in play, isolated one-on-one with Trujillo. Papa looking for that left foot. Gets it. Bloomberg. 2-0. Chicago Fire. 47th minute.
Now this is a magnificent, beautifully orchestrated goal right here from Chicago. It all starts back at that pass. Let's play with the outside of the foot. One of the beautiful things of playing with the width of Home Depot Center. Lowry releases Papa, and you love to see players that are isolated one-on-one that backs off the defenders. Look at this. A little bit of a pause. He knows he's total, the in control, the separation. Look at the angle that he picks out, bypasses McBride, and Freddie Lundberg shows his pedigree and quality to place that with great precision and composure. Fantastic goal.
Well, 3 good looks. It's the reason why Marco Papa, one of the most dangerous left-sided players in Major League Soccer, picking up his 5th assist of the season. Freddie Lundberg, the 33-year-old, his 2nd goal in a Chicago Fire uniform.
We talked about the big players stepping out. First McBride, Freddie Lundberg as well. And you could tell that he was kicking into another gear. And he's just building his appetite, the way that he was taking the position in the center part of the field. He seemed bigger, his presence, every time he had possession. And the other players followed his lead.
Well, there's a reason why he's a designated player. Goal and an assist tonight. And he's been on form. Unfortunately for the Fire, a little bit late. Chicago. 2-0 lead here at the Home Depot Center. Alongside my partner, former U.S. International Christopher Sullivan, I'm Brian Dunseth. Trujillo looking for Braun. Takes a bump from Conde. Conde sitting on that yellow card in the 44th minute. Bloomberg looks to get away from Nagamura. Up over the top for Lowry. Good run from the central midfield.
I like this variation. Is good where he sits deep in the midfield and you send one of those central midfielders into the attack for surprise.
Zizzo looking to utilize his pace down the left-hand flank. Isolated with Kinney. Finds Bornstein, pushing up. Awkward touch cleared by C.J. Brown.
Now this one, Jonathan Bornstein didn't have a thought into what he was going to do after the reception. He's entering into the area. Nice little breakout there from Zizzo. That's what you look for. Stepping behind the ball, picking out a player, playing with a good simplicity in the attack. We saw a moment ago that McBride looked like he was still a little bit in pain with the back of the leg. So
Chivas USA. Possession down the right-hand side. Espinosa. Papa. Starting the initial pressure. Pause to McBride. Touched into Lundberg. Back to Brian McBride. Ristic goes down, slipping on the surface. Bornstein looking to capitalize down the left. Ristic recovering to the right. Great tackle. BRATISLAV Ristic. And he'll be called on for the foul by Paul Ward.
This one, he takes a little bit of the ball, a little bit of the player. And the one time that Ristic goes down, he doesn't get back up. McBride plays into his feet. Too slow to pick himself back up. It's pretty much a routine possession. But again, we talked about Lundberg and McBride, the way they're connected. Now it looks like Kalen Carr is coming in. And a fitting finish for Brian McBride's point. And he gets a standing ovation from his team, from the fans. Just a wonderful career, domestically, internationally, abroad. And there's the smile that says everything.
It's an illustrious career that comes to an end. Brian McBride, 3 World Cups, an Olympics, 296 matches played in Major League Soccer, and he ends it with a goal. Kalen Carr will replace McBride for Chicago. And on the other side, Jesus Padilla's number is called. It'll be the Venezuelan international, Giancarlo Maldonado. Espinosa. Free kick for Chivas USA. Clipped up ball looking for the back 6. Justin Braun, snap header. And it'll be pushed out of bounds by Logan Paz. Corner kick for Chivas USA.
You see this short approach right here, in swinger at that back post. Good look.
Maldonado. Nagamura, top of the 18. Paulo Nagamura. Bornstein! Big touch left by Johnston.
At this point, you look for the response. Chivas USA has it within them. They're just elevating the tempo a little bit, putting higher pressure. Nagamura can strike from here. Bornstein's trying to get it off his feet when he's in a pack of 3 around him.
Lundberg looking to get away from Zemansky. Goes down underneath the challenge. Referee says play on.
I see Papa's ability on the ball right here. This one they're going to play through, but I don't think that Chivas have been able to solve or figure out Lundberg, his position there. Now, earlier we saw him in that high point. They're playing 4-4-1-1. Then he settled a little bit in front of the midfield and carved out a beautiful space for himself. And there never really was that balance to squeeze him. Martin Vasquez, I think that's why he was an enemy. That's why he was yelling to the central defenders in that position. One of those two have to step up and get better pressure.
Papa, blind ball up over the top, keeps it in play. Another good ball by Lowry. Papa looking for Kalen Carr. Just on as a substitute, cleared out by Zemansky. We've seen 2 changes from Martin Vasquez. Carlos de los Cobos replacing Brian McBride with Kalen Carr. Andrew Dykstra, Kwame, Watson, Siriabo, Corbin Bone, Bajo Husidic, Patrick Nyako, all available. Lowry, little cutback, Cruyff, deflected off the way in. Off Jonathan Bornstein. He wanted Lowry to be in an offside position.
Yeah, well, he knew he had a great opportunity there. Lowry, you could see it on his face. It was too good to be true. Great ball played in. Look at the entry pass. He does well to collect it, steps away from the pressure, and Bornstein has that little quick reaction to step and make himself a good wall at that near post.
The momentum firmly in the favor of the visitors. Chicago Fire, 7th corner kick of the night. Freddie Lundberg looking for the top of the 6. Ball in the box. Kenny rechecks. Lundberg back across. And cleared initially by Bornstein. Umanzor gets his head up. Papa clipped up ball looking for Stephen Kenny in the box. Ball drops down. And Thornton able to get his hands on it.
I think Thornton can't believe his eyes. What's in front of him right now? Complete drop off of that back line of Chivas USA. The 1 goal gets them in this game. It makes a game again. They're trying to set up the tempo, but you see that Chicago is going for the juggler. They're starting to push in the attack. They've got a player down here.
Stephen Kenny, the right back, still down inside the 18-yard box as Darius Umanzor knocks it out, so Kenny can receive medical attention. Paul Ward immediately signaling on the training staff for Chicago.
You don't like to see that. It's one thing if he takes a hit, but if it's an Achilles tendon, strain or pull, that one hurts.
Brian McBride, 38-year-old, first overall pick in the 1996 inaugural season draft of Major League Soccer. MLS all-time best 11, loan spells, Preston North End and Everton. $1.5 million move to Fulham. 151 games in the Premiership, 41 goals. And then back to Chicago. He's been an incredible addition for the Chicago Fire franchise.
Well, I think the biggest thing was every player hugged him. You know, you can see the smile on his face, and through all the interviews, Brian McBride exudes humility. He's a consummate professional. You know, he's been a great role model for the players day in and day out, the way that you come to training. You've been with him yourself. You know, you played with him in Columbus. And just an outstanding person, professional, and he's talked about his family. He wants to spend more time with his wife on Friday nights. He wants to coach his children. So what a fitting way to finish your career with that type of goal. Classic signature McBride goal.
And at 38 years of age, finally has the opportunity to enjoy a weekend to himself. Let's take a look at his goal. It was Freddie Ljungberg through the legs of Jonathan Bornstein. Look at the skill.
Well, he knew what he wanted to do. I mean, he had purposely overcommitted to bring the defender with him, and he's got that, you know, talent and that quality in his feet as well. He's not just a goal scorer that's great and competent with a head. He's also very good with his feet, and he showed that there.
Stephen Kenny needing help to the locker room as Patrick Nyako taking off his sweats on the sideline for Chicago. Ristic closed down by Bornstein. CJ Brown.
Well, one thing I like what Carlos de los Cobos is doing now, he gets McBride out of the game, but he's putting in players with speed, like Kalen Carr and also Nyarko. That opens up the game, takes the pressure off Ljungberg.
Ljungberg takes a touch. Challenge from Espinosa. Goes through again. Through the box. And Kalen Carr can't get his feet set. Another chance by Lowry on the near post. And Zach Thornton very fortunate on two separate occasions.
Very fortunate. Beautiful movement. Watch Freddie Ljungberg. The game's that the field's been such, he gets that little extra half touch, eludes that, plays it through the legs right there. It's hard for Carr to anticipate it's coming across the face of the goal.
Credit to Carlos Borja, doing just enough for Chivas USA. Maldonado on the back post. Giancarlo Maldonado, his second goal in a Chivas USA uniform, pulling one back in the 58th minute.
Oh, we got a game now. I tell you, you talk about the introduction of Sal Zizzo. This is impeccable service on that right side. Just the response Martin Vasquez is looking for, and brings Chivas USA back into the game. Look at the breakout right here. Comes through the feet of Nagamura. Little bit of a pause right here, and he just places it over the top of CJ Brown. And Maldonado's been there, done that. This is why he got paid the big money in Mexico for Atlante. He's already gotten Sean Johnson pulled over at that far post. Easy put away, just to snap that back at the far.
That's Justin Braun now, isolated with Conde. Skips away from two. Justin Braun in the box. Good step by CJ Brown. Johnson off his line as Maldonado and Ristic collide at the top of the 6-yard box.
You got Maldonado and Conde.
Maldonado doesn't like Wilman Conde putting his hand in his chest, keeps slapping it away as Ristic still down in the box. Oh, it's the switch of Rodolfo Espinosa and Sal Zizzo. Zizzo operating on that right-hand side that led to the goal of Maldonado as confirmation. Patrick Nyako makes his 27th appearance of the season. He'll replace right back Stephen Kenny. Let's take a look at what just happened.
I see Maldonado's trying to anticipate, and that's clearly what he does to Ristic. He should be booked for that. It's not caught by Paul Ward. Yeah, he was. Okay, good. He comes across, he comes across and he just rakes the face with the inside of his hand. That's why you saw the frustration of CJ Brown and Conde. Rightfully so. But now we have a game.
Nyako going to utilize his pace to get in behind. Earn Chicago the throw in as Ljungberg Quickly taken back to Nyako. Sliding challenge from Rodolfo Espinosa. Gamesmanship on both sides. Lundberg won't let him up. We talked about that surface. As it continues to get later here at the Home Depot Center, it's been raining all week long. We've seen slipping from both sides. It'll be even more interesting for the challenges, the tackles. Sometimes can get a little bit out of control on this type of surface. Nyako, kept in by Papa. Lundberg, first touch, skips away from Espinosa. Lundberg, left foot, wide left authority.
You can see he's in the zone. You know, his first touch is just impeccable. It's excellent. The way that he plays it under his body. What's the way he receives this? Bing. Just transfers it right to left. Now he eludes around for a quick slalom. That one I thought he was going to play at the back post to keep the play alive.
Ristic sliding back to right back with Patrick Nyako sitting in front of him. Well, let's send it down to Christian Miles for a report on Stephen Kenny.
All right, thanks, Brian. I caught up with the Chicago medical staff, and it looks as though he's got a low ankle sprain right now. He's been taken into the training room, receiving a little bit of treatment and receiving further evaluation. We'll get you updated as more information becomes available. Guys?
Thank you, Christian. And Christopher, we talked about Bratislav Ristic in the first half, playing as a midfielder. He's played left back, he's played right back. An easy switch with Patrick Nyako to come on. Ristic drops back.
Yeah. I think they try to keep the integrity of going forward, playing through the midfield, and have someone that's strong on both sides of the ball.
We talked about coming into this match, the work rate and influence of Freddie Lundberg. The 33-year-old last season, 2 goals, 9 assists, in a best 11 as well as all-star season with the Seattle Sounders. Since joining the Chicago Fire halfway through this season, 14 appearances, 2 goals, 6 assists. Lundberg now top of the 18, looking to skip through. Fortunately falls for Carlos Borja, finds Bornstein. Gets his head up, looks for Braun, skips away from 2 defenders, and he's looking for Maldonado. Maldonado caught with his feet underneath him.
Well, one thing about Maldonado, and just look at the way that he runs. I know that he's underperformed to your expectation for the type of player he is, the quality that hasn't really come to fruition here in the United States. But the way that he scored the goal, the reference point he gives you up top will take pressure off Braun. Braun should be able to find better channels and holes and spaces to express himself going forward.
Well, throughout the month of October, you'll see the color pink throughout MLS stadiums, playing fields, and MLS players. As MLS works, the league's community outreach program has launched a league-wide campaign to create awareness to fight breast cancer. From game balls to players' boots, gloves, the players are doing their part. For more information, log on to mlssoccer.com/works. The Union Ultras still standing behind Zach Thornton, just to the right of your screen. 63rd minute here at the Home Depot Center. Scoreline opens. Brian McBride, then Freddie Lundberg start off the second half. There's Maldonado, pulling one back for Chivas USA in the 56th minute. That gives us a game here at the Home Depot Center. Lundberg, tugged from Zemansky. Zemansky, 4th player to go in the book.
Well, what we talked about a moment ago, we just said that, and you see Martin Vasquez very animated. They haven't got the positional sense to deal with the takeoff of Freddie Lundberg. He's coming into deeper positions, he's getting the ball, and Zemansky, while he's good on the ball from an attacking standpoint, Nagamura can't do everything. That's why he's on the wrong side of the ball chasing Lundberg when he's in the zone going forward.
3rd yellow card of the season for Zemansky. Kalen Carr keeps that ball in play. Espinosa.
You know, to be fair, good teams in Major League Soccer, what we've seen when they pitch the midfield, when you have a talented player like that, it's those wide players that come and help out. And they haven't really been able to do that through Espinosa. He stays isolated on the left side, but he's not contributing in with those 2 central midfielders and giving them the help to pinch and squeeze Freddie Lundberg.
Logan Paz under pressure from Zemansky off Espinosa. It'll be a throw-in for Chicago. Carr. Finally healthy after dealing with a quad issue for the better part of the whole season. Finds the feet of Papa. Great little touch to look into behind. Good reaction by Ante Jaza. Well, next Saturday, it's MLS Saturday on FSC, conference semifinal first leg. We're still waiting on the outcome of tomorrow night's 2 matches, LA Dallas, Columbus Philly. So log on to foxsoccer.com for the confirmed schedule and matchups Sunday night.
We don't know where we're going to be just yet. Where are we going?
It's going to be interesting with the result. Alvaro Saborio, 2 late goals in injury time. A 2-2 draw on the road for Real Salt Lake. That forces the LA Galaxy now to get points at home against an FC Dallas team that's coming off a stinging defeat last week at Rio Tinto Stadium in Salt Lake City.
You see the transition game has changed for Chicago. They're recovering, they're getting the ball off the feet, starting to play on their terms in the second half.
There's those spaces you were just talking about, Christopher. Patrick Nyarko. Been dealing with a few knocks throughout the last month of this 2010 Major League Soccer regular season. Wasn't really sure if he'd even be able to travel.
He's one of the bright spots. He's a keeper along with Papa. One of those players that's part of the engine, the attacking engine of Chicago when they play good football. And those spaces we're talking about is just incredible. You can drive trucks through it in the center time and time again. Chivas good when they have the ball at the beginning of the game, but defensively, look at the space they give.
Papa, top of the 18, looking for that left foot, far post! And just wide right of Zach Thornton's.
He knew what he wanted to do. He's using the screen. Chivas, one of the things they're changing in the second half is quicker restarts, getting the ball back in play. And just look at the pull away right here. He's using that defender and Kalen Carr to surprise Zach Thornton.
Chicago firing on all cylinders right now. 67th minute here at the Home Depot Center. Ornstein. Well read by Nyarko. Good awareness. Knocks that ball off Ornstein. It'll be a throw-in for Ristic.
And again, you see Carlos de los Cobos. Something Todd Grisham talked about. The coaches as well want to make a statement that their teams finish with their head up and play good football, so they can look for the future.
Kalen Carr, he's onside. In behind the defense. Carr, 1-versus-1 with Thornton. Kalen Carr, 3-1, 68th minute. His 3rd goal of the season.
Well, this one, he puts it into high gear, and Kalen Carr has the presence of mind at full speed. It looked like he was intending to play Papa to the left, just as he reads the anticipation. You take a look here. That was close to see if they're on or they're off. This time he gets the benefit of the doubt. There's the feint. He's got Thornton fully stretched with both hands to his right. Great adjustment right here, just to elude and float. He's got a free look on goal and a fantastic finish.
It's his 14th appearance of the season. Kalen Carr gets his 3rd of the year. As now it's Sal Zizzo. Espinosa. Pressure from Nyarko. Switches for Trujillo. Doubled up. Last second challenge from Darius Umanzor. Logan Paz. His ball springing that man, Kalen Carr. Paz picking up his 3rd assist of the season. Ornstein, searching ball, looking for the top of the 18-yard box. Trujillo. Touched by Papa, gets in front of Trujillo. Papa stays up, has Kalen Carr, and lets the bypass looking for Lundberg. And cut out by Ante Jaza.
You know, one of the themes we're seeing here, Brian, and happened against San Jose. 3 goals in the second half through Wondolowski. For Martin Vasquez, he's got to be taking a look at, we talked about those gaping holes time and time again when they were giving possession into Chicago out well. Every player, not one player, not Lundberg. Kalen Carr was coming in, Papa was coming in. Paz was coming in, Lowry was coming in, Nyarko was coming in. They were getting the ball time and time again, uncontested. At this level, you have to be more compact defensively. And they gave the game away in the last 10 minutes right here, in a game that they could catch.
Braun. Pressure from Conde. Well read by Conde. Nagamura finds the feet of Maldonado. Back to Paulo Nagamura. Gets his head up. 4 players to beat. Looking to slalom. Touched by Logan Paz. Nyarko. Lumber. Kalen Carr's onside. Looking to utilize that pace down the right-hand flank. Borja closing him down. Kalen Carr. Borja looks to get to the touchline. Kalen Carr gets his head up. Top of the 6. Newberg settles. Still inside the 18-yard box. Espinosa initially bodies off. Paz keeps the ball in play. Lumber clipped from behind by Espinosa. Lumber not happy about it. Has a reason.
Well, these two have been going all night. And we saw that earlier when Freddie Lundberg was straddled over him in the corner and didn't want to move and get off and move left or right. The bottom line is one team has frustration that's settling in.
Going to be the 6th yellow card of the night. Keep an eye on Espinosa. No attempt for the ball. That's the reason why Freddie Lundberg's not happy.
Of course. And again, he's just dirty. Coming across. I mean, he's lucky he's not sent off the field. He should be booked for that red card. And he said, how could that be only a yellow card? How am I being yellow card?
Lundberg goes in the book as well, picking up his 4th yellow card of the season. Obviously, we have the advantage of watching the replay. But you have to think Paul Ward giving out the yellow card to Freddie Lundberg for the reaction.
That's a culmination of the whole game. Talking to other players, talking to the ref, working with the ref, and he's just, you know, it's like John McEnroe. He's being motivated by, you know, players that are getting intense and bringing aggressiveness to the game. So he's had a good game. But for Chivas, I mean, you see a lot of bravado, but very little football tonight. And again, the positional sense hasn't been good. And it's got to be frustrating for Martin Vazquez, who was a good player in his own right, international player.
It's been a team that has struggled to put any type of momentum together. Not a single time in the course of 2010 were they able to put back-to-back wins together.
What we saw in the first 25 minutes, Chivas played well. There was good fluidity going forward. We know that Justin Braun is a good forward, but they're missing it. Maldonado hasn't. He scores a goal tonight, but they're missing what they had before with Galindo and Raza. And that threat at any time, and when Question was in there as well, that they can always turn a game. They can score time and time again when they go forward. This team lacks that goal power and that confidence behind of a team when they push forward that they're going to score.
They seem to have something between Braun and Alan Gordon.
Yeah.
When bringing Gordon over from the LA Galaxy. Gordon serving a 2-game suspension for off-the-ball contact with Adrian Kahn 2 weeks ago. He serves those 2 matches, yet he's unavailable tonight as a substitute. Is that a bit surprising?
Yeah, I mean, Alan Gordon is one that's always going to knock on balls. He's going to create. He works well on both sides of the ball. He's good in the area. And again, like we talked about Chicago earlier, a lot of teams prefer to play with a packed midfield and one up top.
Well, to go back to your point you were making about the back line of Chivas USA, over the course of the years, we've talked about teams dependent on strikers, players that can put the ball in the back of the net. Tonight we see kind of the opposite from Chivas USA. No Michael Omania, no Dario Delgado. They have been the pairing throughout the course of the season for Chivas USA. Now that they're not available, this is a team that's been giving up a lot of goals. Over the 3 games they've played in the last week, now they've looked at giving up 8 goals.
Yeah. at critical times in games when teams have to recognize this is when you shore up, this is when you solidify your defense, and that exchange.
Jonathan Bornstein is extremely active throughout the course of the 75 minutes here in his final match for Chivas USA. Service in the box, Justin Braun. That was a high boot on the back door from Darius Umanzor. Justin Braun can't capitalize.
Oh, you see Nagamura, he's the only one pulling everyone together, saying let's push here, let's press, let's capture the momentum. Again, a fantastic look from Braun. Good crossing, clipped it across the heart of the area.
And only one substitute available for Chivas USA. Martin Vasquez still has the U.S. under-20, Brian De La Fuente, who has not appeared in Major League Soccer yet, Michael Lahoud, Osael Romero, and Marcelo Zaragoza. Braun from distance, deflected off the back of Conde, settled by Logan Paz. Has Ristic, finds Miarco, back to Ristic. Deflected from Espinosa, and settled by Zemansky, the rookie. Jalen Carr has Papa to his left. Umanzor as well. Marco Papa, top of the 18-yard box, gets his head up, looking for the far post, deflected on the way in. And that ball had eyes if it got past the defender Borja for Freddie Lundberg on the far 6.
Well, this one I think that Chivas could be thankful that Jalen Carr waits it a little too far. He's got to play that a little bit closer to Papa to give him an angle or an option to play one-on-one isolator or slider across the front. He pulls him a little too far left. But again, the breakout, time and time again, for Chicago, looking good for Carlos de los Cobos.
Second time this season, they've looked very good here at the Home Depot Center. Against the LA Galaxy, it was a 3-2 win in August. Lundberg, in-swinger from the far side, looking at the near post. It'll be a goal kick for Zach Thornton and Chivas USA. Simple possession for Chivas USA at the midfield stripe. 77th minute here at the Home Depot Center. Brian McBride, Freddie Lundberg, giving the visitors a 2-0 lead before Giancarlo Maldonado pulled one back. Jalen Carr. His goal in the 68th, giving Chicago a 3-1 advantage. Good pressure once again from the Fire. Zemansky has him on his right-hand side. Now Borja, Lundberg looks for the chip for the far post. Great idea from the former Swedish international.
Well, if you look at when Freddie Lundberg picks up the ball, Zemansky tries to close him, but Borja goes to his left away from him. He should have been closing behind. This is what created that space for him to go. Justin Braun now
pushing the other side. Gets the service across. Ball still in play. Zizzo closed down by Ristic. Sal Zizzo takes the initial challenge, knocks it off of Patrick Miarco. It'll be a throw-in for Chivas USA.
He's looked good, Zizzo, for Martin Vasquez. Martin Vasquez has to take inventory, of the players that can do it. Certainly in the back four, as you alluded to, the two that were missing, you can see a gaping hole. They're vulnerable in the back, the starting position as a team, being and seeing how they want to pressure and react defensively on an important player like Freddie Lundberg. Hasn't been. It's been that simple tonight.
For Chivas USA, the difficulty's been putting together consistent starting 11 with the same players throughout the course of the season. We've seen adjustments from tactics. We've seen Chivas USA play very, very well at times. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to put games continually together. Nagamura now gets his head up. Hesitates, top of the 6, touched out by Conde. Miarco. Jalen Carr gets away from Bornstein. Slight hesitation, pulls Bornstein in and finds Papa. Papa, ton of space. Down the left-hand side if he wants it. Gets his head up, Switches to the near side. Patrick Niako. Szymanski forces him in.
Again, that's the theme. You say ton of space, and that's what Chivas have given Chicago to operate. Just so much space every time and time again in the channel on the pole to hit. Offensively, as you mentioned, Chivas played nice football. They started the first 20 minutes with good fluid play. The story has been the defense, the cohesion in defense, the way that they work on the other side of the ball. And for Martin Vasquez and his assistant coach, Carlos Juarez, not our Carlos Juarez, you see him there, who's been long in U.S. soccer as one of the trainers, and they need to pull that together. Two very good coaches.
Jalen Carr. It's away from Trujillo. Back inside to Borja. Borja had the last touch. Forced to keep it in play. Carr bumps off Trujillo and earns Chicago a throw-in. Valuable time for Chicago to knock off the clock. Carlos de los Cobos, one more change available. As it's Logan Paz now. Szymanski looking to take away his right-hand side. Forces Paz into pressure. Sliding challenge from Nagamura. Knocks it out. Nagamura, 145th appearance in Major League Soccer. And while a different type of Brazilian player, he now holds the record for most matches played by a Brazilian in Major League Soccer. Manzor keeps that ball in play, forces Szymanski to clear. Chivas slow to pull out in the 18-yard box. Papa, great piece of skill through the legs of Zizzo. Zizzo able to recover. Gets his head up. Looking for Justin Braun. No real options. Closing down numbers by Chicago. Trujillo bodies off Nürnberg all the way back to Borja. Brian McBride, CJ Brown, Jonathan Bornstein, all saying goodbye to Major League Soccer tonight. The 38-year-old Brian McBride calling time on a 16-year career that included 12 years in MLS. Fire original CJ Brown announcing this past Thursday that tonight's match will be his last in a Chicago Fire uniform in Major League Soccer. Chivas USA defender, this man, Jonathan Bornstein. His final match before heading to Mexico after signing a free contract with Tigres this past summer. There's CJ Brown. And when you talk about faces of franchise, you have to say CJ Brown. 370 games played, all-time, 32,400 minutes, Christopher. And you know CJ Brown very well.
Well, he's a Bay Area product. You know, we played together, and I coached him a little bit when he was coming out of college. And just a consummate professional. He's a player that every team wants to have, and what he represents, and what he puts into a game. Great person again, like Brian McBride, good family man. Really gave a lot for the shirt, for Chicago, for all the fans, for Bob Bradley, you know, who picked up this young jewel. Players like Kubik, Peter Novak. He was an important part of that team.
Yeah, really a feel-good story for one of those players that didn't play at a huge college, San Jose State alumni. He's going to walk away with these records. Most seasons, most games played, most games started, as well as most minutes. We want to talk about a winner, CJ Brown, this year, just the second time in his MLS career, and he is not participating in the playoffs. Giancarlo Maldonado, good step by Wilman Condor.
He's moving well. Maldonado there, he looks a little quicker, sharper on the cut. Going back to CJ Brown, it was Tom Simpson who had a team called the Seals in the Bay Area that did quite well in the Open Cup, playing against the MLS sides and winning and shocking. CJ Brown was a part of that team. For some young professionals that were eager and motivated to make their name, he was one of those players.
And if I'm not mistaken, a fantastic run in 1997 in the U.S. Open Cup, which brought so much attention to the Seals, as CJ Brown was the first overall pick in the 1998 supplemental draft for the Chicago Fire. Trujillo inside to Zizzo. A lot of room for Sal Zizzo down that right-hand side, looking to get away from Umanzor. Gets his head up, and that service off the head of the El Salvador international. Borja Settles. Nagamura finds Maldonado. Nagamura from distance. And he skims that one wide right of Sean Johnson's post.
As in Nagamura looking for his moment. One of the facets that he does so well is pushing into that space. He's got the low center of gravity and high on the far post. This one drifts a little wide.
Well, it's the end of the night for Jonathan Bornstein, the 25-year-old U.S. international, 2006 Rookie of the Year, his last appearance in Major League Soccer. But it's Brian De La Fuente, MLS debut for the 19-year-old. He's a U.S. under-20 international. Marco Papa thought about chipping Zach Thornton. Was closed down by Nagamura.
Hey, you know, one of the things we saw McBride on the sideline. Now you see Bornstein, every player, coach, staff member giving him a hug. And, you know, you got to give credit to our colleague, Paul Caligiuri. He's the one that brought him from his school where he was coaching over to UCLA, his former school, and say, hey, this is a talent. And for Bornstein, I think that he was a symbol for Chivas USA. And he's got a lot of more, he has many more years going forward in a big adventure in Mexico.
That's 123 games, which will end his Chivas USA career. Jonathan Bornstein, 2000 U.S. national team debut with a goal here at the Home Depot Center against Denmark. And that goal, 5th minute of injury time versus Costa Rica, booking Honduras' spot in the World Cup. He will always be a legend in the Honduras fans' minds.
We're going with him to San Pedro Sula.
That'd be a pretty decent trip to be on. We already saw the yellow card from Rodolfo Espinosa on Freddie Lundberg seconds ago. Lundberg not happy that Espinosa tried to kick the ball off his back, but that'll be the end of the night.
Well,
Freddie Lundberg, goal and an assist to end 2010.
I think it was a great finish for Freddie Lundberg. We talked about when he started building into the game and picking up into another gear. Between McBride and Lundberg, they changed this game.
Baggio Husidic, the 23-year-old, making his 22nd appearance of 2010. Jack Espinosa goes down by Lowry. De La Fuente getting his first touches in Major League Soccer down the left-hand side. Just signed this summer, 19-year-old, part of the academy team for Chivas USA. Husidic settles back to Paz. Maldonado applying the pressure. As it's Samansky, little toe poke away from Husidic. Espinosa finds the feet of Braun. Back to Nagamura.
He's got you see Maldonado has a great freezing moment right here. He went down, looked like he got hit in the face. He goes down a second, comes right back up.
To the corner. Away from De La Fuente. De La Fuente with the touch. Ball kept in play by Espinosa. Kalen Carr, heavy challenge for Monte Jazic. There will be another yellow card handed out by Paul Ward. Monte Jazic's 3rd yellow card of the season.
And you see Jazic actually does well to hold his feet out. He comes through and a little bit of a slip off the wet grass. And he prevents from his feet coming through.
That's the 8th yellow card handed out by our referee, Paul Ward. Well, they haven't stopped all night long. Union Ultras just behind Zach Thornton. 90th minute here at the Home Depot Center. Chicago Fire on the way to their 9th win of the season.
Well, we talked about it before the game as well, who you give the edge to. And some thought that Chivas would have the edge. They played extremely well, but just the way Chicago was built, you'd have to give them a slight edge coming into the game, and the quality came through at the right time.
Saw so many injuries at the worst possible times for the Chicago Fire. You add in Superliga, and we've seen teams deal with it throughout the course of the competition. This year, it really came down to September, as 4 minutes of added extra time indicated by the 4th official. In September, those big games at home against the LA Galaxy, at home against Toronto FC, the game we did in Philadelphia, when they needed maximum points, they just couldn't figure out a way to get it.
Yeah, and I think to be fair as well, there wasn't familiarity in this team. They were mixing the team so much. You know, there was a new football philosophy and concept through De Los Cobos, but it never really got transmitted where everyone was on the same page, even though you saw quality there. And I think that'll be the big question and work for Frank Klopas. What players you want to bring in, who you want to retain, whether or not De Los Cobos stays. We know that he's a good coach, and he has a good work ethic, but definitely has to be revamped.
I think everyone thought after that 3-2 win here back on August 1st, the game we did against the LA Galaxy, where Nery Castillo, Freddie Lundberg, and Collins John all had incredible games, that this was a Chicago team that would definitely be in the playoffs, no doubt about it.
I'll tell you, every year, more and more, we're seeing the importance of the technical director. And when you look at Chivas USA, you know, you look at what is the buying discipline and criteria. What type of players you want, how do you want to play football, how do you fit in to this league, which is a unique dynamic and proposition. So these guys that have done it, and you look at Chris Henderson, you look at you know, Frankie Klopas is one of the technical directors, John Doyle working with Frank Allen, etc. That for me is going to be a critical, going forward, critical position. Not only the coach, but the technical director, someone that has that Rolodex that can call, bring in the right players, and make huge changes and huge impacts on their team.
Absolutely correct. You throw in the philosophies of teams. Do you utilize the designated player, or do you not? Marco Papa now isolated with Carlos Borja. Papa, right foot, looking for the far post. Thornton with the save. Baggio Husidic makes it 4-1 as Husidic gets his 5th goal this season.
And this one's just the icing on the cake right here for Chicago. You can introduce a player like Baggio Husidic, quality player, but again, through the feet of Papa, he's ready to slalom. He drags across his body, exchanges on his right. Thornton is able to respond here, but he doesn't hold on. It's an easy snap header right here for Husidic.
And great camera work. Keep an eye on the left-hand side of your screen as Baggio Husidic, Mariano Trujillo quits on the play.
Yeah.
There was a big save from Zach Thornton. And Chivas USA giving up 4 here at the Home Depot. Confirmation of our goal scorer, Husidic, the substitute, making an immediate impact for Carlos De Los Cobos. Trujillo, long service out of the back, looking for Justin Braun. Ristic lets that ball play in behind him, finds Nyako. Espinosa putting pressure, finds Paz. Great ball by Nyako. Triangle passing now from Chicago, forcing Chivas USA to chase. Final minute of injury time. As now C.J. Brown and Wilman Conde keep possession between the two for Chicago.
You were talking about all the players that Chivas USA, you know, that whole list, and the Emperor, Claudio Suarez, was also a big factor of his professionalism. But tonight it was about Chicago. It was about Brian McBride finishing in great fashion with a classic goal. C.J. Brown with his final game. Bornstein going to Mexico. And Chicago come through with a quality big win for them. Well deserved.
It's Brian McBride, his goal opening things up here at the Home Depot Center. Chicago Fire 4-1 winners over Chivas USA.